Right folks, I'm over at Holford. It's the one good day that we've had for ages. I haven't been over here for about a month. It's been weather, most of the weather's been grey and horrible. Anyway, I'm at the dog pound, not far from the green. I'm not going up there today. Today I'm going to have well, I'm walking on the darker side actually, which is stupid really. I also forgot my waterproof trousers. That are also act as a windshield. I left them on the chair. So fingers crossed. I have got spare clothing. I'm getting over a really bad cold. Heavy cold I've had. And it's all loosening up and I just know I need a walk. I mean, I went out last Sunday in the rain. But I didn't get soaked or anything, and it was a misty rain more than anything. Anyway, I'm coming over. I'm going to be walking past Alfoxden house. Not stopping or looking at too much, just carrying on past. And I'm following the Coleridge walk. The walk William Wordsworth and Samuel Coleridge would have walked here loads of times in the past. This is their route up to the house. And it's a gorgeous day. The autumn colours, like all over the country, are gorgeous. So I'm going to be walking up here and I'm following the contours of the hills today, which you can do once the vegetation has died back a bit. The peak of the summer, the ferns are like 10 foot high and you really have a battle, to be quite honest. I'm walking around the edge and there will be some undulations that I'll have to cope with, but like I said, everything's loose, it's all moving in the chest, so I had a really bad couple of days there. I was quite ill for 3 days with a cold. I mean, it could have been flu, I don't know, but I think it was a cold. There's so many strains going around. I mean, when I went for my checkup for my asthma, the nurse actually was recovering from flu and she wore a mask and she was coughing. I was alright till I got in there. But then if you go to the doctor's surgery, they warn you that there's flu about before you go in, but they didn't provide anyone with a mask. I looked in the box, it was empty. So I took a risk really. Went for my checkup and caught something. But like I said to the doctor, he phoned me in the week, see if I was alright. They do that if you contact them, they will bring you back. Just checking through everything and how my breathing was, and it was good. I had a nice long chat with her, it was good. And I can't remember what I was going to say now, but basically I'm alright now. Sort of, you know, it's the side effects after you've had a cold and your nose is streaming, you know, and everything, and you feel a bit washed out really, don't you? And you don't sleep properly and you're sneezing and coughing and nose streaming, running like a tap. Anyway, you don't want to know about that on this gorgeous day, do you? This gorgeous day on the Quantock Hills. And I said, the first sunny day, whatever, I'm coming out here. And if you follow that path there, it takes you across the control bridge over the river. That's it, yeah. Right, I'm going to stop for a minute, just for a second, take some pictures. I'll come back on in a minute. Right then, so I'm carrying on walking up to Alfoxden house in a minute. I'll just give a bit of news. It's around about the 7th or 8th of November now. Western had its carnival last night, but it rained. drizzly rain, you know. Not cold though. I mean, everyone's saying it's not like November here. It's so mild. You know, everything's so mild. It's unbelievable. You know, if I think back from I used to be taken to the carnival, wrapped up tight in a pram when I was a baby, and all the old people would be wrapped up tight with hot water bottles, hot flasks of tea and coffee, waiting for the carnival. That happened all over Somerset, waiting for the carnivals. Tonight's North Petherton. Burnham have had theirs, and so have Bridgewater. Bridgewater kicked it off last Saturday. It used to be the first Thursday in the month, but they, you know, they broke with that tradition a few years ago. So it's really on Saturdays now. God, there used to be traffic jams galore when Bridgewater Carnival was on. Everything stopped still for the carnival. It's like now, I'm hoping I can get out all right on the way back. It's Bridgewater on the way to North Petherton. Could be overrun with cars and stuff. In the world, well, Gaza's been reduced to total rubble. People buried in there. Bombs buried in there. Slaughter of children carries on. Genocide carries on. And they're still bombing Beirut and things like that, the Israelis are. It's amazing what they're getting up to and how they can get away with it. Trump's going around the world like an emperor, gathering all the different countries, giving them treats or trick and treats. One of the men who partly invented DNA died yesterday. Watson and Crick. I remember that very well from a student days when we first found out what deoxyribonucleic acid was. And we played with the models. I remember all that. Didn't realise back then, when I was young, how exactly significant. Because that was in the 70s we were playing with it. But it was invented in 1953 when they constructed the scaffolding for the molecule, the double helix. I was fascinated. I did some genetics. I've done some DNA studies, and I did some with the OU when I did molecular orbital theory, which also fascinated me, complicated me, did me head in, but it was, you know, talking about quarks and bosons, you know, particles, atoms, everything, matter, dark matter. Yeah, so I really enjoyed all that, you know, my OU stuff. I've still got all the books. I remember the molecular orbital theory explains a lot about the energy of different molecules and what gives them their shape. Yeah, very, very interesting, because it was all tied up with biology. When I did biology for degree level, we did a lot of genetics. I also did loads of stuff. I did brain and behaviour. And I probably came across the leakies, believe it or not, because we did quite a bit of archaeology, early biology, you know, evolution. We did a lot of that. In fact, the fourth year, if you'd stayed on to do the fourth year, they were just dedicating it all. And I have got a book signed by one of my lecturers, and I'm sure in the reference at the back there will be a mention of the leakies. But they never really came back into my mind until I met Tamsin. And she's taught me a lot. I learned a lot from people when I meet them, you know. Even though sometimes it's just ships in the night, or, you know, but you always glean a lot from people. So just never stop learning. I've learnt so much from people. We do it all the time, and children can teach you a lot. Yeah, so what else is going on in the world? Chelsea Football Club are doing well, both men and women. Just thought I'd throw that in. but they hardly ever show my Chelsea on TV. Unless I got Sky or I have special packages, I can rarely see them. I guess sometimes they do tend to put the England games on TV, ordinary TV, but I just think really they're depriving a lot of women of women's football by not putting it on BBC or ITV properly. You know, you've got to pay. I mean, I already pay for a TV licence and I hardly get anything for it. It's all catch up or loopity loop. Same old thing, round and round again. I don't mind sometimes going back to the 40s and have a look what the cowboy films were. 50s. But they have some very, very stupid dramas on. Really do. They must think we're all totally thick. Anyway, that's just a little introduction, everyone. I know some people love listening to me when I'm walking. Others think I'm a waste of time. Fair enough. There's a nice little toadstool there, look, sticking up, saying hi, Sheila. Like I always say, this is my reflective journal and visual diary. I don't write things down much now. I put things on the tree. I save my videos as web links. Some of the good ones I put on my tree as a record in time and space. So we're now coming up to the Alfoxden estate here. It was a deer park. The deer were very protected here once. They don't seem so keen on having them anymore. And some of the fields down here were bought by somebody who cared about the deer. Some lovely views over there to the sea, to Kilve. All the fossil beaches are over there of Kilve. And I'm walking up the drive towards Alfoxden House. I can just make out the white of the house. And I've wandered all over here before, by the way. There ain't much I haven't done, to tell the truth, over the years now. Since I retired, I took early retirement because you were allowed to. So I retired at 55 because I was allowed to. Although I retired at 55 though, I wasn't allowed my state pension. I could have my NHS one, but I wasn't allowed my state pension until I was 61, 10 months and 5 days. Now other women, just a bit younger than me, they've had to extend their working lives even more. Because you can't retire at 60 now. Haven't for a while now. And they want to push it to 70. They don't want to pay out the pension, you see. This is why. They say, oh, people are living longer. They're not. People are getting more depressed. They're getting more ill. They might be living a bit longer, but they're not well. And work doesn't pay. A lot of young families are struggling like mad to pay their bills, feed their children, clothe them. What's a holiday? I mean, years ago the working class used to go off en masse, especially up north they did, in Scotland. They had special weeks of the year where the working class came out of the factories and all went away on holiday to Butlins or places like that. There's no provision now like that. There's a lot of very depressed young people who can't afford to have an education even if they wanted one. Who wants to pay back 50 grand when you haven't even got a job at the end of it? I know I moan a lot when I'm out, but I'm just telling you as it is. Now, I saw a very good programme last night and I'm going to follow it up about the British Empire. I learnt a lot actually. I knew a lot of it really, but it pieced it together nicely. How our little island was really quite primitive compared to China, compared to Spain and Portugal. It took us a while to get the East India Company up and running and take over India. get our stock market up, but ruthlessly sending people down the mines. Slums in the cities, children barefoot and going up chimneys. Yeah, there's a period in my history, it's not a long period, but it is a good 100 years, where some of my very close ancestors lived in London. They moved to London like many for the streets of gold. They ended up in the slums. And they ended up living in smog-like conditions. Yeah, the East End of London. Where a lot of people, even immigrants, would go over the years. They put them there, they placed them there. But, you know, some of them, they moved out of beautiful places in the countryside, like my great-grandmother, Mary Ann Brooks. She lived in beautiful Suffolk and Cambridgeshire. A farmer's daughter. She was probably educated as well. Her and her Louis they were well read apparently, and politically orientated. I'd love to have met them. But they died together in a little tiny room in a slum in the East End of London. But kept their dignity apparently. He always had a cane and his top hat. And they were well read. I'd love to have met them. I really, really I can't find their burial place at the moment, which is annoying me. And of course I traced the Brooks right the way back a long way. And they've taken me back further and further. Right the way back 1,000 years easily. Not just with the Brooke family, but other families that we link into. And the Stives, of course, that's German. And of course, when we go back further, we've got our Saxons from Germany as well. So I've been doing a bit of the far history, going back. It all links up in the end. It's amazing. All links up with the Britons and the Saxons and the Vikings and the Normans. I just love it. And you learn so much about your own family and history when you do tree. Anyway, going back to that empire thing. Yeah, looks a really good programme. It was the first one last night. Anyway, I'm going to stop here, folks, because guess why I'm stopping? Because I'm at Alfoxden Park, and behind that black fencing is the house. It feels quiet here, like a lot of people have left, because it's winter now. Cold in the tents, isn't it? Just imagine Wordsworth and that walking along here though. They've got cameras there somewhere, I know they have. In a minute someone will come out. They do, yeah, nearly always. They either come out with a cup or they're just saying who you are walking through. That used to be a tennis court, by the way, where the cars are parked. And a little chapel in the background there. There are somebody coming. Yeah, so there's a little gate here. It leads up to the house, look. See, it still needs a lot doing, doesn't it? The rendering of the walls, desperate. And probably the roof as well. I think they've put pipework down, they've done a lot of landscaping. I think there's still a lot of work to do on the house to rescue it. Wiring might have been done and things like that though. They're important things. Right, over and out.